Just in case any of you guys are curious how I'm coming up with these groups, I decided to actually show you with 8th period how I'm going to come up with it. And all I'm doing, guys, I'm sitting here looking at the roster and I'm going with the random integer function. So for example, 8th period has 30 people. I want groups of 3, 2 or 3. So I'm going to have 10 groups of 3, as you can see right here. So what I'll do is I'm just going to pick random numbers from 1 to 10, and I'm just going to do it one at a time. Okay. And so what that's going to do, when I look at the first person on the list in 8th period, it's Haley Allen. So Haley will be assigned to group 10. Oop, I don't know what that is. So Haley's going to go into group 10. Hit enter again for the next person in line. And so Sydney Anderson also goes to group 10 because she's next on the list. And then the next person on the roster, Catherine Bernhardt, is assigned to group 2. We'll pick through a few more. We need a 6 and a 5. So the next person on the roster gets assigned to group 6, and that's Jules Bruno. Next person up is Sienna Buckley, and that she has been assigned to group number 5. We'll pick a few more here. Somebody goes to 8, somebody goes to 1, somebody goes to 4. So the next person after Sienna is Amanda Burns. So she has been assigned to group 8. Group 1 gets their first member after Amanda Burns, and that's Brian Davis. Group 4 picks up the next person online in the roster, next person in line, which is Sean Devers. Here we go. So group 10 all of a sudden has picked up their third and final member. So right after Sean, you get Tori Dozier. So group 10 is now filled. Group 3 gets the next person in line, which will be Christina. All right. Oh, excuse me. Let me type that right. So DeChesney gets picked up in group number 3. Now, here's the thing. Since group 10 is filled now, anytime that 10 pops up on the calculator, I disregard it and I keep moving on until I fill up all my groups. So next up is 8. So now we got our second member of group 8. And so right after Christina was Brian Emery. And I'll cycle through, grab a few more. So 10 is full, so I skip it. So the next person in line gets put into group 3, and right after Emery is Lizzie Fisher. So I'll just grab a few more. So we need a 4, a 1, and there's 10 again. So 4. Right after Lizzie goes somebody into group 4, and that's going to be Emily Johansson. And then we get our second person in group 1, which is Justin Kissel. Group 10 again has popped up. It's full, so we skip it. So now we need a 2, a 1, and a 6. So the second person for group 2 has just been selected, and right after Mr. Kissel is Camille Latour. After 2, we get our final member of group 1. So right after Camille is Ava. Ava falls into group 1, and group 1 is full. Now we get 6. We get our second member of group 6. Right after Ava is Margaret Barland. Go over and we'll grab a few more. 9, 10, and 2 3. So the 9, this will be our first member of group 9 is about to pop up. So right after Margaret was Jordan McGann. Then a 10 popped up. 10's full. A couple of 3s. Well, the first 3, Lucas Meeks fills in. Now group 3 is done. So I'll disregard any 3s, any 1s, and any 10s that I get. So 2. Now we've just filled up group 2. The person after Lucas on the list is Rachel Palmer. So group 2 is now filled. Group 1 already filled. Group 8. So we got our final member of group 8. Right after Miss Palmer is Connor Peoples. So group 8 is now filled. Group 1 filled. Group 5. So Sienna now has a second person in her group, and that's going to be Heather Rawl. Keep moving through. We need a 4, so there we go. This will be the final member of group 4. That'll be Greg Rapp. Group 10, filled up. Moving on. Group 1, filled up. Group 9. All right, so right after Mr. Rapp, we end up with Joe Rodri. And we keep moving. Group 7. Finally, there's the first time 7's popped up. So now Matt will be the first member of Group 7. Picking through. 3 is filled. 10 is filled. 8 is filled. 4 is filled. 3 is filled. 10 is filled. 10 is filled. 1 is filled. 2 is filled. 7. So right away, 7 is going to get the next 2 in line. So that's going to be Miss Smith. You will join that group. 10 is filled. Oh, so we have a 7, another 7. So just like that, group 7 is filled. 4 is already filled. We got our 3 members. So right now we're down to Alexa. And we're looking for, really if we look here, we need either 5, 6, or 9. So I'm just going to keep hitting enter until I get a 5, a 6, or a 9. All of these groups are filled so far. There's the 9. So there's where Miss Vargas goes. So now for Layton, it's either a 5 or a 6, whichever pops up first. So there it is. And the only remaining spot is for Miss Wine, and that's how I filled in the group. So for those of you that are kind of curious, how in the world is he doing that? That's what I sat here and did to assign your groups.